Welcome to a deep dive crafted just for you. We're talking Barack Obama today, but not just the stuff everyone already knows.
Right.
We're going deep, like uncovering the experiences and influences that shaped who he became, as a leader.
Yeah, like the hidden chapters of his story.
Exactly. Think Barack Obama, the untold story. We're going to uncover those aha moments, the stuff that makes you see his journey in a whole new light.
I like that.
So everyone knows about his presidency, right?
Mm.
But where did it all begin? Born in Hawaii, years in Indonesia, that's not exactly like your average childhood.
No, not at all. That kind of early exposure to different cultures, you almost never see that, especially with future presidents. And it's more than just, oh, he lived somewhere else. It's about how those experiences actually become part of how you see the world.
Woven in, yeah?
Exactly. And you can see those threads all the way through his career, how easily he connects with people from different backgrounds, how well he handles tricky cultural situations. That stuff's rooted in his upbringing, I think.
It's like, without even knowing it, his childhood was preparing him to be on a global stage. Kind of reminds me of that story, of his high school nickname, Barry Obama. Even back then, people were drawn to his charisma.
And put that together with what it means to be a kid, right? Living in Indonesia when everything's politically charged. That's not textbook history. That's living with the complexities of power, how fragile societies can be, all at a young age.
Wow.
Those years, they must have had a huge impact on how he saw the world, and ultimately, I'd say, his approach to leadership.
It makes you wonder, would he have been the same leader without those experiences?
Yeah.
It's like, which came first? But speaking of leadership, let's get into his time as a community organizer back in Chicago.
Yeah.
What always gets me is that he chose that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a stepping stone, He was really in it, dealing with the problems everyday people were facing, trying to make a difference right there at the grassroots level.
Exactly. This wasn't theory in a classroom. This was Obama taking those big ideas about justice, about equality, and actually putting them into action, knocking on doors, organizing people, fighting for better conditions in some of Chicago's, well, let's be honest, most neglected neighborhoods. And those years, that's where he really honed those skills, listening, empathizing, knowing how to empower people.
Wouldn't you say those skills became the core of how he led, both in the White House and even afterwards? It wasn't about having all the answers. It was more like bringing people together, finding solutions through actual dialogue, real understanding.
Absolutely. And it goes deeper than just skills. It's the conviction behind them. Being a community organizer wasn't just a job for him. It showed his values, how much he believed in people working together, his commitment to social justice. That's unshakable.
It's like he built his own leadership lab in those Chicago neighborhoods, testing things out, learning from when things went wrong, and developing that empathy and resilience that really went on to define him. Talk about a journey, right? From the basketball court to Harvard Law School, that's quite a leap.
It really is.
And we know how much he loved basketball, even using it to connect with people during his presidency. Makes you wonder how many other world leaders are out there shooting hoops for a bit of diplomacy.
Speaks to his understanding of shared experiences, right? Sports can be like that. They cut across cultures, languages, all that. But let's not forget, this is also someone who graduates from Harvard Law. And not just graduates, becomes the first Black president of the Harvard Law Review.
Wow.
That's huge. That's a position that speaks volumes about, well, his abilities are clear, but also that drive, that commitment to pushing boundaries, to excellence.
Talk about pressure, too. Leading one of the most prestigious law reviews in the country. It really shows his intellect, his ability to thrive in those kinds of intense environments.
Absolutely. And we can't overlook the historical significance either. Being a Black man navigating those spaces, those institutions, he wasn't just breaking barriers, he was challenging deeply ingrained perceptions.
It makes you think about his relationship with Michelle Robinson, too, who he met back in Chicago.
Yeah.
What a power couple. She was already a successful lawyer herself. And you can tell her intelligence, her drive, and just that grounded perspective, it clearly had a huge impact on him.
Their partnership, it was and still is remarkable. Michelle wasn't just there for support. She was an equal, a trusted advisor, and she had her own powerful voice.
They really did redefine what a political partnership could be. But let's shift gears a bit. Talk about him stepping onto that national stage. I remember watching his 2004 Democratic National Convention speech. I still get chills thinking about it. The energy, his message, how he just captivated everyone. It was electric.
That speech, that was a turning point for him. It was America really seeing him. And he took that moment and, well, he owned it. Hope, unity, a more inclusive America. That resonated with people, and not just on one side of the aisle either.
And then comes the 2008 campaign. Groundbreaking, really. His team, they changed how campaigns are run, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
The way they understood technology, social media, connecting with voters in ways that hadn't been done before.
They were pioneers, no question. Online fundraising, micro-targeting through social media. They harnessed all of that to get people involved, build a movement that got him to the White House.
It's amazing how influential those strategies still are. But, winning the election's one thing. Stepping into the Oval Office during a global financial crisis, with the political climate being what it was, those were some incredibly challenging times to take office.
Absolutely. It was a perfect storm of crises, you could say.
Yeah.
Economy in free fall, wars in Iraq and Afghanistan still going on, and politically things were so polarized.
So how did he handle it all?
Yeah.
What were some of the moments that really defined his presidency?
Well, he tackled that economic crisis head on, right? The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, a massive stimulus package meant to prevent a full-blown depression.
Which, of course, was controversial.
Oh, absolutely.
Some said it was government overreach, others saying it was necessary to avoid a total economic meltdown.
Exactly. It was a defining decision, Showed he was willing to take bold action, especially in extraordinary circumstances. And then there was the Affordable Care Act. That was huge, expanding health insurance coverage to millions who didn't have it before.
And, of course, that sparked its own set of political battles, but it definitely changed the landscape of healthcare in America.
For sure. And we can't forget his achievements globally. Orchestrating the drawdown of troops in Iraq, ordering the raid that killed Osama bin Laden, reestablishing diplomatic relations with Cuba after, well, decades. These were major moves.
These were moments that needed serious diplomatic skill, strategic thinking, and, let's be honest, a bit of calculated risk.
For sure. His foreign policy, it was all about diplomacy, working with other countries, and that belief in America's role as a global leader. Now, did everyone agree with it? No. But you can't deny that it was a big change from his predecessor.
We got to talk about that basketball court at the White House.
Right, right. He's never been shy about loving the game.
Basketball, it was how he blew off steam, connected with people, kept things a little more, normal in a job that's anything but.
Exactly. Even presidents need that outlet, that reminder that they're human too. And speaking of going beyond just the political, his post-presidency has been pretty interesting.
He hasn't exactly been putting his feet up. The Obama Foundation, the memoir, A Promised Land, now he's producing documentaries.
Public service, it's in his blood.
Hmm.
Empowering future generations with the foundation, sharing what he's learned through writing. He even won an Oscar, for his production company's documentary, American Factory.
It shows how diverse his interests are, but also that drive to make a difference that goes way beyond politics. And what always strikes me is his ability to connect with anyone, really. That emphasis on dialogue, on really trying to understand, that's something we need more of these days.
I completely agree.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From Barry Obama to the Oval Office to global statesman, author, producer. Talk about a transformation.
It really speaks to resilience, his intellect, that deep down belief in the power of dialogue, of understanding. He reminds us that leadership isn't about having every answer. It's about asking the right questions, listening with an open mind, and then working together to build something better.
It's been fantastic going on this deep dive with you.
Yeah.
What stands out most to you about Barack Obama's story? What will you take away from this?
For me, it's that unwavering belief in our shared humanity, even when things were tough, when the criticism was intense. He never lost sight of that. That's a powerful lesson, especially now.
Couldn't agree more. And for you listening, if you're wanting to learn even more, I'd recommend checking out Obama's books or the work the Obama Foundation's doing. There's a ton of information out there just waiting to be discovered. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the stories that shape our world.